hosted by Andy Moss. Andy has been in the staffing industry for over 25 years, first as a recruiter, then eventually an account manager and business owner. This is the podcast where we sit down with fellow staffing owners to get the real stories of the successes, the failures, and the lessons learned along the way.
Welcome back to Staffing Stories. I'm your host, Andy Moss, and today is a really interesting topic. And I brought Mr. Tom Kosnik in to kind of go back and forth with me because he's an expert in what I call peer development. You'll probably correct me, Tom, but just in the staffing world, surrounding yourself with other staffing leaders to just vet out issues in training and development. Is that the best way to explain it?
Yeah.
Tom and I talked about this, and I think it's been very beneficial to me to be part of a peer group. And I think if you're struggling with that, hear us out today and just make a decision. How about that? And Tom,
good.
Introduce yourself to those that have never met you but have seen you at every show, walking the floor and talking to people.
Yeah. Tom Kosnik, headquartered out of Chicago. I was born and raised in Detroit, so I was rooting for the Lions. Great story. Great story this year. But got into the industry. Gosh, I think 31 years ago now, Andy, and got into it by setting up these peer roundtables. So I was interested in organizational development and. Met an exec out of Cincinnati that had a peer roundtable program, and got into offering such services in the staffing industry. And later on, I got a master's in organizational development from Bowling Green State University. And so we do all kinds of things now: strategic planning, financial analysis, comp plan analysis, comp plan redesign, just a ton of things. And it's staffing industry is such a great industry to be in. And gosh, has it changed a lot in the last 25 years?
I think in the last 3 or 4. I mean, 25 is even more amazing, but just the last 3 or 4 years, it is just boomed.
Well, hey, I got to tell you, so go back 30 years. One of the big topics in the roundtables were, like, how much money do you spend on your want ads, on the Sunday want ads, and what wording do you use? And
I can totally. I remember buying the Sunday paper to bring it into the office to look at for leads.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, this topic is very key to me because I know as a business owner of a staffing company, years ago I really struggled with. Having a group to talk with other owners, because if you're in a market, you don't want to talk to people inside your market because that's kind of competitive.
Sure. Yeah.
But, with these peer groups that have people all over the country, you don't really compete with them. But it's very interesting. Everybody's taking it and you're not alone.
Yes.
And so kind of walk us through, a thought process of what you see with most staffing owners when they come into something like this and just kind of the decision making.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So we, so typically they are, they're just, here's what happens, right? You own a business, you're running a business, and there's all these issues that you want to talk about, but you really can't talk to people within your organization about them.
Correct.
And I could give you a whole list, but so we get people that have these businesses. They show up at the roundtable. Well, first off, everybody signs an NDA. We pull people from 12, 14 different markets, so it's not there's none of this direct competitor kind of thing going on, and everybody is it's a true peer roundtable.
Yep.
And so, like these men and women, they know, financing receivables and, getting stuck for a big AR, company goes chapter, Chapter 11 and didn't tell and all that. You're trying to buy a partner out, and you're just looking for good advice. So folks come into our roundtable, and they're a little bit shy on the front end because they don't know what to expect. They don't know how. But I got to tell you, so I picked up a roundtable member who in his business, 15-18 million in revenue. And he was in another organization, another round, which very, very, very good. But he said, Tom, in this other organization, we've never reached the level of vulnerability that we've reached in your roundtable. He said, I just was shocked at how open and honest people were with one another. But here, the flip side of that, Andy, is, look, hey, we all need honest feedback. Correct. About our decision making, our behavior, our successes, our mistakes. And a lot of times you're just not going to get it. When you're the person at the top, you're just not going to get it because of the political dynamics. Hey, boss, sorry, that was
tell you what you want to hear.
Right. But you come into a peer group like that, where people will throw out initiatives, they'll throw out goals, they'll throw out, and they'll say, hey, Andy, like your ego's playing too much in this decision. You really need to take a step back and consult . And nobody says it in a demeaning way or anything like that. But you just get that level of input. It ends up saving, Andy, we've saved people millions of dollars. And
it's one of those things that in these groups, experience share is the most important thing, not opinions. And I know the groups that I've been part of, we don't want to hear what you think we should do. We want to hear where you've directly related to that issue. Say, look, I faced this. This is what you're about to hit. And I'm just giving you my experience share. And having a group that you can talk truth into each other and be vulnerable, but trust that you're all coming from the same heart. It makes everything so much better.
Yes.
But so size wise, I mean, I know. Is there like an average size because your groups are from all over? You can have $100 million company with a $10 million company.
Yeah. We have roundtable members from companies north of $1 billion, north of $3 billion, some big companies that are in. But that's basically the industry. You have owner operator, so and typically 5 to 20 million in revenue, and then you have the middle market. So middle market is at 20 million to 100, and then enterprise size 100 million plus. Yeah. And so the greatest thing is when somebody graduates from an owner operator to a middle market, or a middle market to an enterprise. And I just love making that phone call. Hey, we're going to invite you to the big boys.
You're not at the kids' Thanksgiving table anymore. You're at the parent table.
Exactly. So we because the issues really are different. Owner operator. How do I hire salespeople? How do I hire recruiters? How do I put a sales plan together? What are performance metrics? How do I compensate people? All that kind of, I've got one office. I want to open another state, that sort of thing. Middle market, it's, how do I build a management team? How do I start letting go? We're looking at acquisitions. And then you get into those 100+ million. Now it's like diversity strategy and, phantom stock plans or deferred comp plan, all that great stuff.
And that's the hardest part of being an owner like myself, is having comparable comp plans. I mean, like, what is there? You sit in a role that you see all of them and can pour into an owner saying, hey, here's what is popular now. Here's what you're getting, without saying
totally.
It is or anything like that. And I think that's something, if you're listening to this, it's invaluable information, because I know I've had conversations with you about comp plans with our team.
Oh, sure.
And I only know one way, but you like, hey, have you looked at this? And it's been really, really good.
Happens all the time. I'll tell you a real quick story. we had a gentleman came to the roundtable, and his big issue was compensation. And he printed out his comp plan, and he passed it out to everybody. And we talked about it, and we have this process. And at the end of the meeting, everyone's gone, just him and me, and he's collecting his comp plan that everybody left on the table. He said everybody was really kind, but I can tell they don't like my comp plan. So it's that sort of.
Are there topics that you've started to see pop up in the last year that you're hearing a little bit more about than you did?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Geez, the AI, all the technology stuff. I'll tell you three big ones. AI is one. The other one is the ever expanding marketing department. And hey, we're in a sales-driven industry. Who would ever guess that the CMO, Chief Marketing Officer, would become more important in the C-suite than the VP of Sales? But and it doesn't matter, owner, operator, middle market, enterprise. We used to have 3 people in the marketing department. I've got 18 people in the marketing department now. And how they're taking more and more of the sales function, assuming the sales function responsibilities, the CMO. So that's a big one. Wage inflation. So the whole internal wage inflation. What do I do with compensation? How do we? So that's been an ongoing topic. And then I guess another fourth one that's popped up is acquisitions. So there's I used to not think this, but I'm starting to think it more. And that is, hey, I'm at 50 million in revenue, 80 million in revenue. You almost have to adopt a both and organic growth and acquisition if you want to grow, because it's just it's like heavy lifting trying to organically grow.
Those are the topics that I think are great when you talk to other. I mean, even from a local standpoint, let's say you're not in a staffing group like Visus, but you're with C12, EO, they're on your local market. I mean, I'm part of C12. I'm very passionate about that. You could talk to other business leaders just in your city and learn so much that you'd be on the local level. Now you could take it a step up and get into more industry level, and I wouldn't go to anywhere else except your groups. But I would always at least do something in a peer group of, do yourself a favor and do something. That's that you can't just sit.
Oh, you can't. It's Andy. Here's the people that are joining now, and we have over 100 C-suite execs in our roundtable program. But basically, what I hear more is, Tom, it's like it's moving too fast. There's too much stuff coming at me. Mm-hmm. Like I can no longer stay on top of all the things that are changing, whether that's employment, legal law, whether that's technology, whether that's sales methodology. They just say, I just can't keep up. And I need an informal board of advisors, so to speak, that's in the industry, because hey, all these roundtables, all these peer groups, you're always going to find a couple people that are early adopters. They're wonderful because they're the first ones out there buying a new technology, or they're the first ones that are trying. And so you get to, because you know how it is. You go to the show and oh my gosh, Andy, you got to buy this product because it's going to double the size of your business. Yeah, we've all heard those stories, right? And,
that's important because there is a lot to look at. There's a lot of noise.
Yes,
and cutting through that noise these days, because there's a lot of wind against us. I mean, there just is. But negative noise, politically, whatever. Operationally, it's just there. But again, finding a group of guys, women, the diverse group that you can, share your story and get some truth poured in is key.
Oh, you imagine. So we pull all of our roundtables we pull from all across the country. So now it's not just Knoxville, Tennessee. It's not just Chicago, Illinois. You're hearing from California to New York to Florida to Texas. Oh, it's awesome.
So is there something that you're hearing? I mean, or something you're seeing as a common mistake some of these business owners are that you're seeing? Is there just something that you're kind of always run into?
Common mistake would be line extension too quick. So they're at 8 million in revenue. They're at 18 million, and they go start. They're in technical staffing, for example, and then they go start a healthcare staffing division. So they very common mistake. They do line extension too quick. The other common mistake is, my business included. You can do certain things a certain way and you can grow to a certain point, but then all of a sudden you wake up one morning and that it just doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
And so, okay, I'm here, I want to get to there. So you've paradigm shift, whatever you want to call it. And so just changing the way that you're making decisions, changing the way you're planning, changing who you're talking to get your business from wherever it is to wherever you want it to go. And so that's another where they keep doing the same thing and they're looking for different results.
Yeah.
Ain't gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen.
And you also see a lot of young business owners and staffing that have come from a larger company tree, and they've only done it one way, 10 or 12 15 years. And that's just the way it is. And I was part of that. And there is 50 different ways to do comp plans. There's 50 ways to do marketing. And you have to be able to open your mind and say, I know I learned this and I know it worked, but times have changed, and you have to be willing to step out of that family tree of wherever you came from to do something
exactly
different.
Right. Exactly. I tell folks that own these businesses when either they join the roundtable or hire us to do some organizational development work, like, hey, we haven't grown one staffing business one way. We've grown 100 staffing businesses 100 different ways.
Yeah.
And that's the value prop of you get to you. And I've seen it so many times. You get somebody who is 60 years old. They've grown their business to a certain level. And then all of a sudden, here comes somebody that's 32 years old. And all of a sudden, and they're like growing their business to here in a matter of a few years. You're doing what? Yeah. You like onboard people like within a matter of hours. Like, how are you doing that? How are you?
So do you?
It's great, Andy. It's great.
I would imagine just having contacts, and I would imagine over your time doing this that companies have acquired each other because they got to know, some of the larger ones that sit with the smaller ones. Like, hey, we may be better together than apart.
Yes,
I mean, I would think that's probably just organically happened. Not that
that has happened. That has happened, and
and it's always fun. But growth is fun. But okay, so do you do anything different than other groups? Because I know there's a lot of people that try this, but give me your secret sauce. What I mean, like what?
Yeah, sure. So I was trained by Arthur Van Gundy. He is the grandfather of creative problem solving, and there's been a bunch of books written by him, some other authors, after him. But so that creative problem solving process gets at okay. So if you want to solve a problem, you cannot solve the problem at the level that you're thinking about it. And so you've got to think about it differently, and you have to see it differently, and you have to behave differently. So, so somebody comes into my roundtable, hey, we've been stuck at 12 million in revenue for the last 5 years, and we just don't know what we're doing right. We're doing wrong. Well, there's that individual, the way that they're leading that organization, the way that they're hiring people, the way they're making decisions, the way they're planning in their business, they have buried in their head assumptions about temporaries, employees, customers, politics, the economy, money, all that stuff. And so our creative problem solving, not mine, but this creative problem solving process, Andy, we get those assumptions out on the table. And so if I can get them, we'll go through that, we can get them to look at those assumptions, question those assumptions, and then create new assumptions. That's what's going to affect a behavior change with a senior leader. That and that alone. Yes. It's because these men and women are already making great money. They already got great houses. They already got fantastic boats, on and on and on. So it's not like, hey, Andy, let me help you. Let me help you figure out how to make another couple $1 million. Yes. Okay. They're all economic buyers. We all understand that. But to get them to change their behavior. And so we say, and we go through that we facilitate through that creative problem solving process. We've had members that were with us, they left us, they came back to us and said, and then at the end of the roundtable, they stand up and say, look, like I was here, I left, I came back. This process, it works.
Yeah. That's what I've heard about your groups. And that's why, and I hope everybody enjoys this conversation. And I try to have engaging topics. And the last couple, I've tried to bring in experts in certain fields, and you're certainly the expert there. And I really appreciate everything you do to our industry, because industries have been we've been very blessed in our industry, and to have individuals like you that, I mean, when I say I see you sink the time in, I see you meeting people and doing all that, but I want to say thank you from most of the staffing guys that don't ever get the chance to do that to you.
Yeah, well, you're welcome, and I really appreciate it.
So I always end my podcast asking our, guests, okay, if you're streaming something, Amazon, Netflix, what's the show Tom and the wife are always watching?
Gosh, Amazon, Netflix, the show, my gosh, we're not big.
or you're The Bachelor.
We're not big TV.
That's good. I get some that say some of the interesting things, but if you don't watch it, don't watch it. It's great.
Yeah, we're not. I really don't have any.
Okay, well that is perfectly fine. But Tom, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today and just kind of giving us some information. And again, if you're listening to this or watching it on YouTube and you've ever thought of a peer group, Tom's group with Visus is awesome. C12 is awesome. There's several others that are probably in your local area. I would always encourage you to look them up, visit them, talk to them. All right. Tom, have a wonderful one. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning into the episode. Staffing Stories is brought to you by 3D-IQ. We are the future of staffing sales. Our solutions are designed to supercharge your sales and 3x placements, all without ever leaving Bullhorn. Direct market, deliver talent, and drive sales with our all-in-one tool designed for the modern recruiter. Visit 3diq.com/stories to learn more. Find Staffing Stories on LinkedIn, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts.